Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, humans and all other vertebrates everywhere, this is the moment you have been waiting for. After 126 grueling pages, we are finally at your main event of the evening! First out. Using music that was substituted because he wanted to have like 10 80s power ballads playing all at the same time and we couldn't just steal them no matter how much he insisted we could. Being accompanied to the ring by a sack full of 80s references and the stench of failure. The team of Ernest, Cline, and Ready Player 2! And their opponents. Out first, he recently chopped off his man bun and is still one of the hairiest douche philosophers on the entire planet. He is half man, half bear, half coffee, the three halves man himself, Burn And now, his partner. Please rise for the man who continues to bring you entertainment week after week on the Words About Books podcast. He is currently ahead of Ben as chief editor for the episodes this year. He managed to read House of Leaves without falling asleep even once. He is objectively the best daughter of all time. He is the master of all things Dune, and he has been to several states in his life, but one of them they went to at least twice was North Carolina. Nathaniel I started recording this fucking episode of book that I don't care for at all, that very few of our listenership is going to want to listen to, especially this part 2 of this 3, or if you count this the prequel to this 6-part series, part 5 of 6, on Ernest Cline, the worst writer I've ever had the displeasure of reading from. I'm Nate. That's Ben. Yeah, we're here. We're here again.
We're here again. I hope you are. I hope you want to go on this journey with us as much as we want to go on the journey ourselves.
Yeah, that's the thing. Last episode I said you have to be here. Because I had to read this, so you have to listen to it. So, I hope you are listening to this. I hope you got your friends in on this. Because if you don't, I'm going to find you. I'm going to track you down. I'm going to tie you to a chair. And I'm going to play all 6 parts in a row. And then afterwards, we're going to have a discussion about Ernest Cline.
So, I don't usually share highly specific numbers about our stats. But would you like to know how many people have listened to the first episode on this release Sunday?
Oh, I saw it. It's a lucky number.
It is 13 people.
Yeah.
At the time of recording.
Yeah. It's abnormally low because I think that...
Tragically low.
You fuckers better start listening.
You better start listening, you sons of bitches. Your dead grandmothers.
Yeah.
Or no, your dead parents. Your dead parents. Sorry.
And grandmother.
Yeah, her grandmother's gonna come up.
Her grandmother's also dead. Her whole family's dead. Stupid, privileged, dead parent-having bitch!
Okay. Where did we leave off?
So last time, after 121 pages of Ernest Cline telling you about the world in the most boring, drawn-out manner possible, stuff happened. Anorak, aka the Halliday clone, I guess. He's an NPC clone of Halliday with some tinkering in there. He became self-aware, read the internet, and is now locking everyone inside the Oni, which means in 12 hours, millions of people will be dead unless Wade finds the other 6 shards of the Siren's, aka Kira's, soul, and brings them to him so that he could do disgusting things to it, I'm sure. That's where he left off.
Okay. Have we mentioned what Anorak is?
He's an AI. I just mentioned that bit.
Well, you said he's an NPC that became self-aware. That's not entirely true.
He's cloned from the brain of Halliday.
Yeah, he is a clone of Halliday. He is... Everybody who puts on the ONI headset has their brain scanned, and that brain scan can be spun up like a flatline from Neuromancer. He specifically says, like a flatline from Neuromancer. And also, this bears a great similarity, I understand, to the plot of Sword Art Online. I have not seen Sword Art Online. I'm not a big isekai fan, but as long as you cite your sources, you can copy as much as you want. So part 2 is like the entire book.
Yes, and it's the closest thing to Ready Player One that we have.
You could really just read part 2 and you'd probably be fine.
But you should listen to our parts 1 through 6 of the Ernest Cline saga.
Some things I want to lay out at the beginning that maybe will guide this conversation. I said when we did Ready Player One, I have a pretty liberal opinion on what copyright laws should be. I don't think we need more copyright. I think we should have less copyright. But Ernest Cline is walking a very, very fine line here. And in Ready Player One,
I've seen a lot of arguments that this is all under the fair use policy.
Yeah, it is. I mean, obviously, Penguin Random House's lawyers think it is, and they know better than I do what is and is not fair use. But I think it is only fair use because it continually takes from so many things. It's a collage,
well,
not a story.
We pointed out last book, there's a shockingly... I don't think any references to, Nintendo. That juggernaut that was a huge thing in the 80s for sure. They're not mentioned. You don't see Mario.
That would 100% sue.
You don't see Disney. Mickey Mouse isn't hanging around, because Disney would fucking destroy this little pissant.
Yeah, so the reason I'm bringing this up again, even though you already know he's going to have a bunch of references. In Ready Player One, he borrowed so heavily from so many things that it kind of de facto, I guess, dodges copyright because
if you steal enough from enough places,
then
get ya.
Yeah, your simultaneous lawsuits kind of cancel each other out. I can't be stealing from all of you, except I am.
Yeah, over 200% of my book is attributed to other sources, and since that's over 100%, checkmate.
This book has a different problem in that while there is like the same Homer Simpson makeup shotgun style of references, it's not quite as spread out. There are 3 main sources, I guess, that he's going to draw from in part 2. Those are John Hughes, Prince, and the Silmarillion. And again, obviously, Got a whole team of publishing lawyers. Thinks it's fine, so it's probably legally fine. But is it morally fine? I don't think so. I actually think this almost crosses the line into a man having published fan fiction, and you may, if you are a keen-eared listener, have noticed that all three of the people responsible for those works are dead and not able to fight back. And again, I think you should be able to reference them. I think it probably is fair use. I don't want this to be illegal. But, Nate, what do you think about the idea of just publishing fan fiction? Do you think, like, you should be able to
I think it's awesome. I'm going to do that now. I'm going to write a story about...
my favorite book, Ready Player One.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's what I was thinking, is I'm going to write a story about my favorite book, Ready Player One, and the video game I loved called The Oasis.
I was going to say, I'll call it Press Start to Play, The Life and Times of Ernest Cline, but I'll spell it Earnest, and I'll have it Clines instead of Cline, and I'll spell it with a K instead of a C. It'll be about an eccentric, talentless loser man who really loved the 90s. And in order to get his fortune, you gotta know a lot about the 90s and pass a bunch of tests.
Can I read a quote from the book to you?
It hasn't stopped you before, so yeah.
I never want to hear these words again, but Ben, you're going to do it anyway. Hang on, I have so many, they're actually loading in. I have so many highlights. This actually does not come from the book. This comes from the acknowledgement section at the after the book ends.
Oh my god, I didn't even bother reading that. I wasn't
well, you should
required
have,
to,
because
so
there's something in here, Nate.
Did he say "milady" to his wife, who he probably hates?
No. Once again, I want to thank all of the writers, filmmakers, actors, musicians, programmers, game designers, and geeks whose work I've paid tribute to in this book.
Oh,
These people have all entertained and enlightened me. And I hope that this story will inspire others to seek out their work.
Yeah. So...
it's okay, because he's paying them an exposure, Nate.
First of all, the way he describes all these things, he never once convinces me I should care or even like the things he is talking about. And I don't even know if that was his goal. I doubt it, because he's a fucking gatekeeper. But number two, Ben, I think this is the perfect time to mention that we are paying tribute to Ernest Cline in these 6 episodes that we've been doing. Ernest, you have inspired us to find new things to just not like about the world. And thank you so much for lighting this fire under our asses that we never wanted or asked for. We're paying tribute to you, big guy.
So
don't flip your DeLorean over because you can't get out because of the way the door is open.
This is 100%.
Sorry, what?
This is 100% just some afterthought thing he put in. Because, as we're going to find out, Anorak sends them on the quest for the 7 shards, the 7 shards. The first clue is going to take them to John Hughes' planet. There's John Hughes' planet.
Incorrect. Not right. They go to stupid arcade game that no one's ever heard of planet.
Skip that. I don't care.
Okay,
do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I do, because I read this, and I want to summarize it, Ben.
Okay,
so
that's
the second shard. Let me just get that out of the way real quick, and then we can go back to your point on John Hughes' planet. So, the shard is like, oh, this is an arcade game. It's about a ninja princess who retakes her castle, but when it was shipped over to America, turned into a dude because they didn't think us Americans could handle playing as a lady. And knowing Ernest Cline, I tend to agree with the people who made that decision. And Shoto, being a Japanese person, knows all about this, thankfully, because it's all genetic, right? As we'll find out as we progress. So, they go in and he explains every single level of this game in excruciating detail. Also, he's temporarily transformed into Kira. Then he wins the game and he kills a simulation of Halliday, who's a crybaby loser who Halliday never seemed to have any sort of self-awareness in the first book, so I can't imagine that he would do that. And they get the shard, and he experiences a flashback of the first time Kira met Ogden Morrow, and then we go to John Hughes' planet. There you go. We're down 2 shards down, 5 to go.
You're probably all going to go check out Ninja Princess or whatever that game was.
I don't even know what that game was. I don't even think I wrote it down. Who the fuck cares?
I think it was called Sega Ninja in America, so look for that. Check it out, yeah. Go buy
check
that
it out.
game.
Wasn't that description of that game that was probably bad because games in arcades, especially in the 80s, were designed to just eat your quarters? But yeah,
they're essentially like modern cell phone games, but every person hates cell phone games.
But not those great arcade games.
No, not those.
Those are awesome.
No microtransactions there. Anyway. Yeah, John Hughes' planet is where I really care. The Princess Karumi thing was obviously there because what Ernest Cline is going to try to do is sprint through another quest because he feels like that's what this book wants. Or
that's what people came for, right? I blew my load in Ready Player One, but I guess I could come up with 7 more things.
Well, and so each member of the High Five, I forgot that was even a thing, but apparently that was something everybody cared a lot about because there's so many High Five.
It's called the
references.
High Five.
Even though there's 4 of them.
Even though one of them is dead and was replaced by Ogden Morrow. I guess
who stopped speaking to them after he met them. Do you know their entire relationship with Ogden Morrow is they met him, he saved them. He thought he was just saving a bunch of children who were in trouble, and then he got to know them, and then he never spoke to them again.
Well, to be fair, Samantha got to know Wade over the course of a week and was like, never again, but then, then this book happens, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah, keep that in mind. They dated for a week. We mentioned this in the first one, but they dated for a week, and then it's been 3 years, and they're totally stuck on each other.
For some reason. I get why Wade is stuck on her, because Wade's a creepy loser weirdo who relives the events in his life over and over again. His life is so bad, he decides to relive the bad moments of his past life. I don't know what Samantha's thing is. I feel like she should have people knocking down the door to get with her.
Yeah, Samantha's thing is she's not a real person. She's just a love interest conjured by Ernest Cline for his insert.
Well, yeah, that was the problem. In the last book,
it's the old, what does Edward or Jacob see in Bella? They see that she's you.
Well, the thing is, Samantha was a generic love interest until she started having opinions, and then she had to go.
That's what makes her the most generic love interest of all.
And once she gets rid of those opinions,
everything's
we'll
fine.
be able to get back together. Truly a love story for the ages.
I was going to do this still a better love story than Twilight, but it's not.
No.
Okay, John Hughes' planet.
Yeah.
Or no, I want to say one more thing. The whole reason we did Princess Karumi is because every member of the High Five has to have a thing, and like much of Shoto in this book, kind of an afterthought. I guess Shoto's there, because Shoto was in the first one. I don't really have anything.
He was kind of an afterthought in the first one, too.
Yeah, I don't really have anything for Shoto to do, so old Sega game nobody's ever heard of.
In the last book, the thing was, only 3 of us can enter the final door, and everyone just starts looking at Shoto, sorry, you're not Wade's best friend or love interest, so, we know where this is going, right? H said she was really mad that they turned the Ninja Princess from a female to a male. H said that. H, the person who was a man for 95% of the last book.
So, John Hughes' planet. They gotta go to John Hughes' planet because Kira loved John Hughes. Now, this is one of those references that Ernest Cline used without consent or permission. Well, without consent or knowledge. No, that's the phrase he likes to use, right? He did it without their consent or knowledge. He decided he was going to borrow John Hughes' entire shtick without his consent or knowledge. But it's okay, because based on this, someone who's never seen a John Hughes movie is 100% going to go watch a John Hughes movie.
I don't know what Pretty in Pink is, and he never really explained it other than a girl from Breakfast Club gets together with a rich guy at the end.
Which is like the plot of every John Hughes movie, as far as I know. John Hughes sucks. I'm going to throw that out there right now. Controversial opinion. Oh my god.
I don't... I think... Okay, I've seen The Breakfast Club and I've seen Ferris Bueller.
Do you remember anything about The Breakfast Club? I liked Ferris Bueller. Okay.
I remember the individual characters and I remembered the ending.
I don't even remember the ending of The Breakfast Club. I remember they write,
go back
like,
to their individual. They go back to their individual cliques, and it's sad because they bonded over that weekend, and now they just have to fall back.
Forget about me.
Yeah, you remember that? I remember that from Family Guy. There is the episode about not licking toads.
I read this whole thing. I do know what Ferris Bueller is. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Go on then, Ben. Going back to John Hughes' Planet and Ferris Bueller. What about Ferris Bueller?
Okay.
Bueller.
Yeah.
You remember that? Bueller.
I remember that.
Bueller.
The whole John Hughes Planet is they have to redo Pretty in Pink, but with the original script, which apparently featured her getting with a character named Ducky. I don't know who that is. He's an annoying guy. Pink.
Artemis is like, someone was like, poor Ducky. The girl gets together with the rich guy, and Artemis is like, what do you mean, poor Ducky? Don't you mean poor insert name of that character instead? Because she's followed around by this loser who stalks her and embarrasses her in public all the time, and then...
Oh, yeah, I don't even know her name.
And it's like...
I just said Molly Ringwald.
Artemis is the one who says this, Ben. Do you not understand how it's like, hey, Artemis, do you know who else has, like, a weird loser who keeps stalking her everywhere? And, like, maybe you shouldn't get together with that guy?
I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about that. That is spot on, man. But yeah, I'm going to give this to you as much as I understand it.
Oh, no, I could do it real quick if you want.
Go nuts.
I have it typed out in a little thing. They go to John Hughes' planet. Artemis figures out what needs to be done but doesn't tell the reader. We can't figure it out, and it's only told to us as it's happening, so there can't be any suspense. Apparently there's a movie called Pretty in Pink. Don't know what that is about, but she needs to get back together with Ducky, which is in the original draft, but not the Ducky that was actually in the movie, but the original Ducky, who is going to be Robert Downey Jr., so I have to go to another John Hughes movie that has Robert Downey Jr., get him, bring him over there. Apparently you can get him to do anything for weed or sex, and Artemis knows that, and okay, whatever. And so they get him the original script, though, because that's the only way to get it to work. So they have to go to John Hughes' house because he's like Bender from the Breakfast Club, or the jock from the Breakfast Club's dad or whatever. And so they're like, hey, we're here for the script for the thing. And the house magically transforms, and oh my god, John Hughes is there, and he hugs Artemis, and Artemis is like, I can't believe this is actually happening. And Artemis, you're in a simulation, it's not happening, it's not real, you idiot.
That's not John Hughes.
They get the script, they go to Robert Downey Jr., and they're like, here you go, you're gonna be Ducky now. And then he goes in there, and he dances with her at the end, and they get the shard from there. It's fan fiction. He's writing fan fiction to us.
Yeah. Would you like to take a moment to just go over some of the references that are dropped?
Yeah, we can do that. We can go over all the references that are just nonstop blasted into your face without your consent or knowledge. This planet does have a serious diversity problem, like the whole of 80s cinema. Shut up, H, you idiot. Don't yuck my yum.
Did you know that Shermer, Illinois is John Hughes' version of Tolkien's Middle-earth? They're exactly the same, and never has a more apt comparison been made.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I remember that movie.
The vacation movies. Did you see those?
They were bad. Home Alone. There was 1.25 good ones.
Kevin Bacon and Elizabeth McGovern, recognized here as Jake and Christy Briggs from She's Having a Baby, John Hughes' most autobiographical film.
AIDS!
16 Candles.
The Breakfast Club.
Weird Science.
Fly Like an Eagle by the Steve Miller Band.
Uncle Buck.
Some Kind of Wonderful.
Obsession by Animotion.
Mr. Mom?
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Did you know that in a John Hughes universe, black people are only allowed to exist in a place called the Candy Bar in Chicago?
Jesse's Girl by Rick Springfield.
Career Opportunities?
The Great Outdoors. Curly
My
Sue.
Best Friend's Girl by
Known Asshole Chevy Chase. All
the
Dewey.
instrumental version of Kanja Goo Goo by the band.
Watch it.
Kanja
You know,
Goo
the
Goo?
stupid things that
80s
aren't
was a
watched.
killing joke. No way.
Nobody should ever be
80s
interested
by
in.
the killing joke. I want a
Did
new
you know
drug.
that marijuana can also be referred to as doobage?
Oh no, the song by
Michael
Huey
Keaton,
Lewis
he
and
was
the News.
Batman.
I don't actually want more
John
drugs.
Hurt. Is Steve
Oh
Martin
no, wait,
dead?
it was
John
actually
Hughes
Weird Al
himself.
Yankovic
who
parody. I want a
portrayed
new
Michael
duck.
Clark
Hall.
The Peter
Griswold.
Oh man, editing this section, it's like I'm physically on John Hughes' planet. It's like I'm there.
Lyman Ward, American Treasure, played Tom
Reagan's
Bueller.
America.
the
March
sort
of the
of power
Swiftheads
worn by
John
rock
Hughes.
by
stars.
the
Cusack.
English Beat.
That's Joan Cusack.
Huh?
Farmer Ted?
Oh my god. This is going on forever. I can't speed this up fast enough. I can't layer enough tracks to make this not more than 8 minutes. I'm just gonna have to cut it off here.
Save ferret.
AIDS.
Blaine McDonald. I've never seen Pretty in Pink. I have no idea who these fucking people are.
But what about Shaun of the Dead? I don't even know why that's referenced here.
Oh, no, because Ogden holds a cricket bat in the flashback.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where he's like a Shaun of the Dead. That's what he holds it like.
Yeah.
Not a guy playing cricket, like Shaun of the fucking Dead. When did Shaun of the Dead come out? It had to be after the collapse of the world in this world's timeline.
I want to say 2007, but it's actually 2004. So now the
When
world
did the
collapsed.
world? The world was exactly the same until what, 2013, and then it just
2012 or
magically went to shit.
2013. Yes.
That can't
yes.
be. It can't be. Shaun of the Dead can't be coming out in 2004,
here's
and the
what
world
happened.
ends in 2013.
Here's what
can't
happened.
happen.
Here's what happened. Okay. Here's what happened. So, in like 2000, we just went back to the 80s, right? And then in the 20-teens, we continued to be in the 80s, and then the Oasis came out, and then the world collapsed sometime in like the next 10 or 20 years. But Shaun of the Dead is still there, I guess. It's so he doesn't have to describe things. He could just be like, hey, that was like that time. It's
But no,
Family
he
Guy
must
cut
be
away.
describing them, Nate, because he's doing this to get a new generation of people into these wonderful works of fucking art. Have you ever seen a John Hughes movie? They're problematic as shit.
But
Every
I-
single one of them is like just dubcon nonsense.
I don't even know what that means.
Dubious consent, rape, the word that is danced around this entire
Well.
book.
Well, I think we know where Ernest Cline figured it all out from, huh? But don't worry. How do we know that... I don't know. Look,
Do you remember the joke in Ferris Bueller's Day Off where the principal watches the girl kiss what he assumes to be her father on the mouth and thinks like weird family?
no, I don't remember that.
Well, that happened.
But did everyone laugh, Ben? Was this a big ha-ha moment? It's hilarious, right? We're all... So Artemis jumped out of a plane at one point and exploded, but we're not going to really talk about that. It's just a thing that happened. Now Artemis is okay.
Can we talk about the number of times a character bursts into song? Is he trying to make Ready Player 2 a musical?
No, he just didn't have any idea what the fuck he was going to do.
There are so many times, like, Artemis starts singing out of nowhere and dancing. And
H
like
does.
H does that too. And then when in the final showdown with Anorak, Wade sets a boombox down and sings a threat at him in the middle of like
I don't even remember that.
that happens. I that 100% happens. And it's I have the highlight. Hang on. Hang on.
God. I'm just picturing like he's copying John Cena, copying Vanilla Ice.
No, because I know exactly what my comment was. No, here it is. I found it. Anorak, I said. I'm not kidding. If you don't release Og unharmed, I swear to Crom, I don't know who the fuck Crom is. He keeps saying that. I will press this fucking thing and delete your psychotic ass along with the 7 shards and the rest of the Oasis. To hell with the consequences. I took a giant boombox out of my inventory and placed it on the ground. Then I slapped in a tape and hit play. The same Peter Wolf song that Anorak had used to taunt us earlier began to blast out of its speakers, and I sang along with the opening lyrics. I don't know the tune. Lights out, aha, blast, blast, blast.
So Crom is Oliver Cromwell, by the way. I just wanted to clear that up.
That doesn't sound right.
I'm pretty sure that's who he's talking about. A member of the English Parliament in like the 1600s, I think. Yeah.
It doesn't sound right. It's got to be some stupid ass 80s reference, but I have no idea. I've never heard Crom before in my life.
Well, maybe it was the 1680s.
Let me Google this.
You don't need to. I already did. I typed in Crom.
Oh, it's from Conan. Do you know from my H.P. Lovecraft research, do you know who was a little racist pen pal with H.P. Lovecraft? The guy who wrote Conan the Barbarian. Fun fact there. That's what Crom is. It's a racist god. Now, Artemis is singing and dancing her way through the John Hughes planet. I have no idea what the hell's going on because I haven't seen Pretty in Pink, and I got to imagine nobody who hasn't seen it, who's read this.
No, Ben. No. If Wade... He says, I bet I could impress her if I showed her my knowledge of John Hughes. So
I bet you could. Artemis is not the sharpest tool in the shed.
Yeah, she, really, if she were a real person, when all 3 of them were trapped in their Onis and might die in 12 hours and she wouldn't...
She'd have logged out and inherited the company.
Yeah, exactly. Like, well, I will make sure you guys get buried. Actually, no, I won't. Fuck you guys. I'm going to be taking your shares of the company. Have fun dying. Who was wrong now? Who was wrong? Say it. Yeah, you were wrong? All right, cool. Glad you admitted that. Have fun dying. Pew, peace out. But instead, if he just shows that he knows a little bit about John Hughes and doesn't mention her dead grandmother or parents, maybe she'll take him back.
And I think he struggles to do that. Again.
He does.
I think there's something in there where he struggles to not mention her dead fucking parents again.
He does.
It's just, what the fuck? What was Ernest Cline thinking when he wrote this?
He's thinking that we're going to have a redemption arc for neurodivergent Wade. He's going to make a big sacrifice.
But what?
Well, we got to press on, Ben. What else do you want to say about
John Hughes
planet?
Okay. What else I want to say about John Hughes? I'm a 34-year-old white man with a podcast. So like, yes, I get most of the references in Ready Player One. I'm not like a cool guy, but I did not know anything about John Hughes. I know that he existed, and that he wrote a bunch of 80s movies that were depressing as shit to me when I tried to watch them as a kid. Like, they were on TV when I was homesick from school. I tried to watch Pretty in Pink for 5 seconds. I didn't get it. It was depressing. I turned it off. Like,
It was depressing because Robert Downey Jr. wasn't there. Okay,
I know
that was all we needed.
I know less about Pretty in Pink now than I did before. I'm like,
But is this inspiring you to go watch it now?
I will
So that
never
you-
watch another John Hughes movie again. Whatever the like word for, I'm a John Hughes vegan now. I've given it up. I never want to hear that man's fucking name again. I have read the word John Hughes. I'm going to do this right now. Let me just Control F. How many times is the phrase John Hughes said in this book? 13 times in this like one chapter. Hughes. 27 times.
So what you're saying is he is in fact turning people off of this amazing art.
What I'm saying is, no one
Don't
appointed
yuck my
you.
yum, Ben.
No one
Don't-
appointed you the goddamn John Hughes ambassador here. Okay? I don't. And
It was
who
a
is this?
vacant position.
Who is this for? Who is this for? The video game nerds who liked Ready Player One? Are they going to be super excited about Robert Downey Jr.'s character in...
Yeah, because he was Iron Man
Okay,
later in
here's the-
life.
Here is what I want to talk about, though, because they're going through Kira's shit now. They're going through Kira's nerd shit now, not Halliday's. Ready Player One was that we talked about that macho, like, Gamergate brand of nerd. And this is that, like, macho Gamergate brand of nerd who realized, like, oh shit, Gamergate was kind of a bad thing. And I've been thinking about things in a somewhat problematic way.
Incorrect.
he's just...
No. He
No,
did not come to that realization. The only thing he realized is that people didn't like it, so he needed to pivot.
Yeah,
I don't
so-
think he thought it was a bad thing.
Steven told me I need to address that.
Yes,
so
there we go. There we go.
I'm going to do Ready Player One for her. And girls like John Hughes movies, right? And that this ninja princess is a princess.
Yeah, wasn't that bullshit, yo?
Yeah, I mean she's a princess, and they erased her. I mean,
Yeah.
women care about that, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna go talk to my wife after this and see if she was really upset when she heard about Sega Princess being a man.
Like that was the only thing of concern to women in the 80s. Ninja Princess.
Yeah.
But so we go to John Hughes' world because it's for girls.
Yeah.
Girls like John Hughes, don't they?
Pretty in Pink.
In 2022, every girl looks back at a John Hughes movie and thinks, boy, that wasn't problematic.
Hey.
These movies written by a man that feature women having sex that they don't always want to have.
Well,
That's what I
just
want
like
to watch.
just like this book, Ben. It's okay if they didn't consent as long as they enjoyed the end product. That seems to be where he's coming from, because he sure doesn't give a shit about consent if the outcome's a good thing.
I'm going to Tarantino you guys right now. The end of this book is that rape helped him understand himself.
Yay.
They don't call it that, though. They just call it a deep violation of her very personhood. It's not rape. We never use that word.
I'm glad that
Ernest-
he found himself.
Ernest Cline, in the first book, stumbled ass backwards into, like, exposing everything that's wrong with escapism. And in this one, he just stumbles ass backwards into inventing super rape.
While continuing to talk about how escapism is bad without... Like, if he were secretly, like, an environmentalist, like, this would be the perfect book where you just highlight how bad it is to be in the fucking internet all day.
He's a nihilist.
I know, Ben.
Do we even have to talk about the Prince planet? Is that next?
Yes, but first we have to go to Math Planet. Oh wait, no, sorry. Let's tone down the energy, Ben, because my mom, she used to try to escape from reality a lot. I don't see any connection with me, so I'm not going to comment on that. But she did heroin, the bad kind of escapism, and so I used to come to this treehouse, to escape from the reality of having a mom with heroin problems. And she would come in here with me, and we'd spend time together, and one day, she OD'd. And I tried to come in here to feel close to her again, but I had a nervous breakdown. I couldn't handle it. It just reminded me of everything I lost. I miss you, Mom. Anyway, look at this awesome treehouse. Do you not see all the cool 80s posters I have in here? And look at that. It's modeled after the Star Wars Christmas special on Kashyyyk. How cool is that?
We were talking... Oh, God.
So that's Math World right there, actually.
No, let me tell you... Oh, jeez.
So, let me tell you...
Oh, geez.
Last book.
No,
Wade...
let me tell you. This is how Wade's like, yeah, my mom did all this heroin and then she died. Blue's Clues, Catcher in the Rye, Oregon Trail, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Seesaw Sea.
Oh my
Gullah
God, we're
Gullah
not doing this one again. That's one that bothered me, because I was like, does anyone else remember that? I thought I was the only person on the planet who ever even saw that.
Gullah Gullah Island?
Gullah Gullah Island. I know we talked about this, and did remember it. And I was like, oh, that's weird.
Ernest Cline is not, he's our age. I mean, he's not that much older than us. He knows of Gullah Gullah Island. He was there. He was there in the Gullah times.
He's not that much older than... How did he experience the 80s?
Is he older than us?
He would have... Okay, Ben, he would have to be, 10 to 12 years older than us to be an 80s kid.
Oh my God, he's 50 years old. And Nate died. This is a 50-year-old man.
Oh my God, you gotta prep me before you drop that on me. Holy fucking shit.
This man is 50 years old.
This untalented at age 50.
Jesus Christ.
I knew he had to be older than us. Because then how else would he have experienced the 80s? But
I thought he was just a dumb fan.
No.
How does he know about Gullah Gullah Island?
He is a dumb fan, Ben, because he doesn't understand the work that he's referencing.
How does he know about Gullah Gullah Island? Now I'm with you. I'm totally lost. Where did he pull that from? That was on Nick Jr. when I was a kid.
Yeah, it came out in 1994.
Oh my God.
Ben, he strikes me as the kind of person who would have watched a child's TV show when he was, let me do the math, 22? Hold on. Wait a minute. How does he know about Gullah Gullah Island? Hold on, what?
Is Gullah Gullah Island okay, I know the people in my age bracket are going to remember it because objectively, really good kids show. It's got that tadpole or whatever.
Binya.
Binya. It was a lot of fun. And I really liked that show when I was a kid. But I don't think, it doesn't, they didn't keep going.
It was only around for 4 years.
Yeah. I don't even know where you'd find it now.
He was 22 when it came out. Oh my God.
Of all the children's programming, shouldn't he be watching, at the very least, he does mention Dora the Explorer. Because he has backpack from Dora the Explorer. But, what are kids watching now? I don't even know. I don't have a kid. You have a... Yeah,
Don
not that
Quixote.
Old. Don Quixote?
Don Quixote. Which
Oh, is that a
has
show?
That is a show about a donkey who has a name that is suspiciously like Don Quixote and who lives in a windmill and has a purple panda space friend and a dog and a duck as friends. She
I feel
fucking
like
loves
you can,
that shit.
if you just put enough bright colors into animals in a
It
show.
is very bright and
Yeah.
and it's very musical, and she fucking loves the opening to that.
With our pal Don Quixote. Yee-haw!
I don't know if I would be writing about it 30 years from now. Or 20 years from now, whatever.
Yeah, so anyway, the Ogden and his wife created this Reading Blasters Junior planet or whatever.
Yeah,
for-
so let me tell you real quick, because you interrupted me so that
I'm
we
sorry.
could fucking talk about. So last book, Wade always all the solution was luckily I watched every episode of so-and-so and I played this video game 2 million times, so I was able to do it instantly. This book, two things happen. One, Wade usually doesn't know what's going on, with the exception of the math planet, so his friend knows what's going on. We already covered that. The other one that comes up a lot on every planet is so-and-so. Luckily, so-and-so knew a shortcut to get there. And we just go right to where we need to be.
Oh, half the book happens off screen. This book is 400 pages long, and half the story that is unique to Ready Player 2 happening in the world of Ready Player 2 and not a reference to something that has happened in the past is totally off screen. They get the Dorkslayer sword off screen. Everything H memorized the Prince Planet off screen. Artemis and Wade hung out on John Hughes' planet off screen. That's why they know all of this stuff. And it's wouldn't it be great if we could see the characters of your book doing things, Ernest?
They aren't characters.
Maybe you could, instead of telling me about what's his nuts, Chet D. Ripley Marsh and Derek Lutz and the Shermer Bulldogs, maybe you could tell me how your two characters came to fall in love.
No,
that's right. I
doesn't know how to
probably need
write
to know.
people.
I probably
He doesn't
need
know
to
how to write
know
people.
how spiky Annie Potts' hair was.
He wants to avoid writing people as much as possible because, as we established, he's a poor writer.
That's an understatement.
He tried to write a screenplay 4 times for his Ready Player One, and they canned him. Is that right, or is that
They
not
canned
right?
him, and they hired the man who wrote Elektra, the Matt, not Matt Damon. Who's the other one? Ben Affleck, the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie spin-off. Elektra. That's the mastermind. That's the top tier talent they needed to bring in, because not just anyone can replace Ernest Cline. This book would be shitty if it was a listicle.
This is why I was going to wait to bring this up until later, but if any Hollywood executives are listening to this, and I know they probably are, we have 13 listeners for that first part. One of them is probably a Hollywood executive.
At least.
You don't need Ernest Cline. You realize that, right? I guess you need his name, the name
My
value of
God,
Ready
how
Player
no
2.
one has ever needed Ernest Cline.
Just look, he's a master at stealing ideas. Just steal his idea. I mean, now you do the Sword Art Online thing, you use the references that you actually already have, and you make a movie from that, and then you just make 10 sequels.
I can have the script for Words About the 80s on your desk by noon.
Yeah, we got this.
Do
You
you
can
know-
pay us a very little amount, as long as it doesn't go to Ernest Cline.
There's a bunch of gimmicky clickbait dumb articles about Ernest Cline once complained to George R.R. Martin about how long it takes to write a book. If it took you more than, I will be charitable and say, a month to write Ready Player 2.
I don't buy that. I think that this really did take him a few weeks to just crap this out.
If this book took more than a month, you need to seek an evaluation for your brain. This is terrible. It's just... I can't tell you how he, like, I doubt he even knows this. Gullah Gullah Island is the smoking gun, Nate. He is not even referencing things he likes. He's just Googling. He's just Googling lists of shit. And he's copy and pasting the IMDb page into the thing. And pretending we should care. He doesn't care. He skimmed this. Do you know how many spelling errors I found in this book?
That's pretty sad. Yeah.
It's
Like we said, this was a first draft that, and that was it. He crapped this out. We're gonna charitably say within 4 weeks, and he just said that's my book, and we just need to. We'll sell it based on the fact that it is the sequel to a book people liked. Ta-da!
Are we done with the Math Planet?
Yeah, I want to just briefly say that the Math Planet was the only place that I felt like maybe the book could have been something else that was even remotely approaching decent because it was original content. And guess what, Ben? It is the shortest leg of the adventure. He cannot wait to get the fuck off of this planet.
Okay, let me throw this out there. I actually think if you had any idea what Pretty in Pink was, the stuff that happens, like the actual things that happen, and I know it sounds weird that I'm pointing that out, but like so much of it is just in Wade's inner monologue, Wade listing actors he's seeing and what else they've been in. That's like the bulk of those chapters, plural. It's many chapters. But what actually happens is like they're in the high school from Pretty in Pink, and this girl dressed like some weird power metal video pulls out her curved elven blade and cuts Ducky's head off. And I assume if you know who Ducky is, that would be funny. So like I think
what's the crossover between Pretty in Pink fans and Ready Player 2 readers?
Well, this is what I'm saying. Like, why didn't you pick Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Why didn't you pick Home Alone? Why didn't you pick a John Hughes movie anyone has seen under the age of 50, I guess?
One of two things, Ben. Either this is the girl's version of the first book, and or he really hated the ending of Pretty in Pink, that rich asshole Blaine got with the girl instead of loser Ducky, because he definitely, growing up and probably still now, identified with one of those two guys, and so he was like, well, I need to right this wrong in my book.
But
with
he even
fan
says
fiction.
The reason that they didn't go with that ending was because they tested it and the audiences didn't like it. But if Robert Downey Jr., a much more conventionally handsome man, had played Ducky, then it would have worked. And spoiler, Robert Downey Jr. is a rich asshole. And he looks like a rich asshole.
But back then, he was maybe not, question mark. But he was just Ducky enough for Ernest Cline to project himself into him.
You would never have... If the whole point is that if Robert Downey Jr. had played Ducky, it's a different character. That's the whole point of the thing.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't see himself in Ducky because Ducky would be a hot dude.
But he would see himself in the old Ducky, but now he's hot. Like, you know how Wade is constantly doing exercise and getting buff, and, like, Ernest Cline is not? But, like, he could see himself being a guy who might someday exercise and get buff. It's the fantasy, Ben. It's the escapism.
I'm going to point you to a Kurt Vonnegut quote that Ernest Cline chooses to use as, I guess, the part 3 header.
Should I also mention the heroin, Ben? Wade does virtual heroin, and he's like, but it doesn't have the risks of overdosing or the physical withdrawal, so it's perfectly safe. And it's like, Ernest, you know that, like, you would still have the brain chemical release, right? Like, that's how you feel the heroin, so you would still be addicted, and you would just do more and more and more of it, and then you'd die from the oni because you'd just be in a heroin stupor. But yeah, okay, whatever, man. You just...
If you didn't understand from the 121 pages of him explaining what the oni does, that he does not know how the brain works, I don't know what to tell you. Like, if you take one thing from this book, it's that Ernest Cline is not a doctor. If you take two things from this book, it's that Ernest Cline also isn't a scientist. And if you take three things from this book, it's that Ernest Cline has also never read a book.
All right, what's your quote?
What's my... Oh, the quote. Oh, the mind is the only thing about human beings that's worth anything. Why does it have to be tied to a bag of skin, blood, hair, meat, bones, and tubes? No wonder people can't get anything done. Stuck for life with a parasite that has to be stuffed with food and protected from weather and germs all the time. And the fool thing wears out anyway, no matter how much you stuff and protect it. He unironically believes that. Like, I want
Yes.
people, if anyone's still listening to this, I want you to know that Ernest
upload
Cline...
his brain into a computer. He's a dumbass.
Ernest Cline unironically believes that his body is nothing but a burden. His mind exists separately from it, and that the sooner he can free himself from his body, the better. And I don't even think that's true. But it's stated in the end of this book. I'm skipping ahead a little bit, I guess, but like, it's stated in the end of this book as just an objective fact that we all know. Like, it's common sense that our minds and bodies are totally separate things that can exist independent of one another, when that case has not been made at all in this book.
Ben,
like,
I don't think you understand how Ernest Cline writes things. The moral of the last book was, maybe go outside sometimes, okay, champ?
Yeah, and the moral of this one is the mind and body are totally separate. You don't need to go outside. Digitize your consciousness. Here's the thing. He's copying... I suspect that the reason people like the first one is because they like the idea of the Oasis. And I do think the Oasis is a neat idea. I think the ONI headset is a neat idea. These are not unique to Ernest Cline. These are ideas he took from other better speculative fiction. And let's talk about the one piece of speculative fiction Ernest Cline specifically invokes, and that is the Dixie flatline from Neuromancer.
Which was a nightmare. He wanted to kill himself because he didn't want to exist inside the flatline.
The Dixie flatline asks for only one thing in exchange for his help, and that is that they erase him when they're done. Because it is a living hell.
Yeah, it turns out it's really nice to be able to touch and see and smell and taste things.
Well, and according to him, you can do all that in the Oasis. But, like, what he doesn't understand, and I feel like you would have to make this... If you do understand it, you have to make the case for why it doesn't matter. But, and you tell me, you're the doctor, you're the biology expert. Like, it seems to me that they're starting to understand increasingly that you can't separate the mind from the body, that the health of the brain is very much tied to the health of the body. You can't really just put the brain in a jar. You'd basically have to just simulate an entire body anyway to get it to work. The mind needs the body. You would have to create a body from scratch.
Oh because my God. There's actually... It looks like they kept pig brains alive in a jar.
I saw that.
For as long as 36 hours. And they didn't have any real consciousness. And the speculation is, like, if we did this with humans, it would be like if you were locked inside a sensory deprivation chamber. Which is torture, by the way. Like, literal torture, like, defined as torture.
Well, so even if you can... And this is something that that boggles my mind, and we're skipping ahead. I don't know. I'm just free-flowing episode. Whatever. You're not listening to it. So the digitized consciousness, right? He describes it eventually as having like perfect like memory. He has a photographic memory because it's just data that he can recall. But like that's not a digitized consciousness. Wouldn't a digitized consciousness also digitize the same algorithms the brain uses for creating and forgetting memories? Otherwise, you're not the same being.
Well, he has a clever argument for that, Ben. And that argument is the end. Book's over at that point.
He raises at the tail end. He raises an infinite number of questions about.
Yeah, but we have to wait to get there, Ben. This is a teaser for next episode that you have to listen to.
You cannot have a whole thing on fucking John Hughes and then raise an existentialist consciousness exists independent of the body thing at the very end of the book and then say the end. You can't do that. It is illegal.
So yeah, now that we're done with Math Planet and talking about his dead mom, who he occasionally will reference again, we're going to move on to Prince Planet. Yeah, the main event. You ready for this, Ben? You ready for Prince Planet?
I think the only thing I know about Prince is
actually, first they tell Lohengrin, hey, there's a thing called the Dork Slayer. It's the only thing that can kill Halliday, so go find that in Zone 0, a place that didn't exist before. It's procedurally generated. The journey will be arduous. We're raising the stakes. You might not come back alive. Okay, bye. Go away.
This should probably
Off
be
you
the
go.
book.
That should have been the book. Yes. Off you go. We're gonna go to Prince Planet. Bye. Also, he seems to think that like without a law, like a written law, we will just all revert to murdering each other and stealing from each other and raping and pillaging. They say that, first of all, we are making sure that we're not liable for the fact that our AI has gone rogue and will murder everyone. So, like, let's send out this thing for people to sign. We'll give them a little bit of shut up money, and they can't sue us for this event that might kill them or their loved one.
Oh, no, I totally loved how he's like, if the people plugged into the Oni can't defend themselves, and so there's just going to be murder and theft rampant. And it's like, the entire world goes to sleep every night.
No.
We don't wake up to mayhem every morning. Some people are robbed at night, yes. Some people even murdered, but
No, this will be a mass uprising of murder and pillaging and rape on a scale we've never seen before.
Like, you don't know that every house you break into is logged into an Oni. You're still taking risks. Like, I don't know. I guess the land pirates are back.
Even though we solved that problem by donating military robots to the police?
Oh, hey, by the way, did you catch the word you just said there? There's military robots. There is a military. I highlighted that like 3 times in the book. The United States still has a military.
Military-grade robots.
No. They have a military because Anorak steals more robots from a military base.
Okay. What has the military been doing this whole time with the land pirates?
They've been too busy fighting the nuclear war to deal with the land pirates.
Okay.
And meanwhile, like it is fucked up too, because as soon as they leave for battle, people just start having babies right behind them, and then eating all the food that doesn't exist, and the population's just exploding as fast as the nuclear bombs.
They're stacking trailers on top of each other to get more room.
Yeah, you gotta stack the trailers. A tree house. Oh my god, we talked about this.
So, do you want to go to the Prince Planet now? Now that we've told Lohengrin to go fuck off?
Let me tell you everything I know about Prince before we go to the Prince Planet.
He wears purple.
I know he enjoys purple. I know he sang a song about partying like it's 1999.
Oh, that was him?
I know there was a movie called Purple Rain that I did not watch. I know.
I believe it's called Chocolate Rain. Thank you very much.
I know that a few of his songs, and I also watched a video where a guy custom built a purple bass that Prince ordered, but then he died, and so now he just lets people check out the bass, and it's really nice bass.
Nice.
It's everything I know about Prince.
Well, if you want, we could blow through
Oh,
this.
and he changed his name to a symbol at one point.
That's important.
I don't know what the symbol is. I know it's in the book. I don't remember.
It looks like a cross between the female sign and the male sign, and some gibberish and an Egyptian ankh. I don't know.
I also know he beat Charlie Murphy at basketball.
I also know that. So you're Wade. You don't know a whole lot about Prince.
Big facts.
I'm H. I'm black and LGBTQ, so I know everything about Prince. Just like Shoto, the Japanese person, knew everything about that Japanese game no one's ever heard of.
All right.
That's how it works, right?
Yep. Everybody is what they are. Yep.
So let me have a look at that quest. Oh my God, we have to fight all 7 princes. No one has ever done that before, ever, in the history of the Oasis, which has been around for like 40 years. Do you understand?
I feel like my knowledge of Dave Chappelle's portrayal of Prince is more relevant to this chapter than actual knowledge of Prince. I feel like I'm in a Dave Chappelle skit.
Bitches.
Didn't Charlie Murphy have to battle Prince? is that
Look,
not
this
what
is the
happened?
7 princes.
Okay,
There are 7 of them, but also there are more of them, but it summons 7 random ones? I don't know how it is, but, like, you better hope that Masked Prince isn't there, because if Masked Prince is there, we're gonna have a lot of problems. But no one has beaten this quest, we're gonna die. Do you understand that, Ben? Oh my God.
I don't understand anything.
Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go sabotage his spaceship, okay?
Obviously.
And then we're gonna go...
He shouldn't have that.
And we're gonna sabotage his motorcycle or his car.
He would be
I don't remember which.
unstoppable without his motorcycle. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's quickly go into this club. We need to go get a guitar for you because this world only allows you to fight with guitars.
Obviously.
Also, do not say anything bad about Prince. Lightning will strike you from the sky and you'll actually feel pain, even though we established you can't feel pain. This time, that doesn't happen. Prince will actually hurt you, okay? No free speech here. Don't question it, okay?
Again, that sounds like a Dave Chappelle skit.
We're gonna get that sweet Cloud guitar, right? That's for Cloud Prince. You know who Cloud Prince is? Obviously, everyone knows who that guy is. So here's the guitar. We gotta go get some groupies. You wanna go get some groupies? Of course you do. Yep.
Maybe.
You're gonna get it's a backup band, right?
Oh.
Let's go do that. We're gonna go into this club. All right. Well, let's do DDR. You know how to play DDR? Hope you know how to play DDR because we just started the game and the game's going.
DDR, to be quite frank.
All right, awesome. We got them to join us, and we're gonna go stop the princess now. Even though this is an impossible task, we're all gonna die.
Okay.
Got this. All right. So now, first, before we do that, we've gotta go get these chains of gold. Okay. I'm gonna just go. I'm stopping
Prince
by
like a
this
guy
thing.
who would like gold. Yep.
Yeah, here you go. Have this chain of gold. I'm not gonna tell you what it does, but it'll be important later. All right.
Okay.
And oh, there are also some like thugs here. Don't worry, I just exploded them. Let's not even think about them anymore. Let's just move on.
Street justice, always bloody. Nope.
It's a good time to mention that Anorak brainwashed a bunch of NPCs, and that's what I thought those were, but those were not Anorak's NPCs. They were just random thugs. So they're dead now anyway. Just move on. All right.
That could have been real bad. Probably.
Yeah, that would have been bad, I assume. We did that, and oh, by the way, that's where Prince won, I think, a Grammy, I guess, and it's been recreated here because watching a YouTube video was too much of a hassle, I guess. Anyway, we're going over... We're going into the temple, alright? Here's the temple.
There's a temple, obviously there's a temple.
Yeah, I'm gonna summon the ancient incantation, bring the 7 princes here. You ready? Now remember, you can only play that guitar a certain amount of times before it explodes and almost kills you. That
seems like a bad design for a guitar. Most guitars don't do that.
Well, this
I've
is
been
a special
studying with
Cloud
Van Halen.
Prince
That's
guitar.
never happened.
Here come all the 7 princes, and they
G-chord,
sound like...
G-chord, 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 G-chord.
Oh my god, you defeated all of them. Also, Shoto's dead. Take his stuff. That's the first thing you need to remember. Take his stuff.
Aren't we the admins? Can't we just spawn his stuff?
No, just take his stuff. And also, oh no.
Do we have time for this?
we're just fast forwarding. One of the princes resurrected all the other princes with his wife, and
God, no.
I guess
His
that means
wife?
we won. There's his shard. His first wife resurrected them all, and then we won. Even though,
okay. Bye, Prince.
yeah, bye. Wow, that was actually really easy.
He was a nice young man.
Yeah, he's really nice, except for he turned against my people, not the black people, the queer people.
Oh my God.
That really cut me deep or whatever, man. Anyway, what does the shard say, Ben? It said that Kira really liked Prince, and at a birthday party he showed up for her. Wow, what an amazing flashback. We had the first art design she ever made, her meeting her future husband, her getting out of England to go live with her future husband, and a really nice birthday party where Prince showed up. Those were.
It's good to be wealthy. I'd want to remember that too.
The next one will be
That's what I'd focus on in my memories.
A memory of her eating a really, really good slice of pizza.
Hey,
Just
why
the
not?
finest.
Is it like
was
that pizza
cooked
with that gold leaf on it?
Oh, that was the Prince planet, except it was like 10 chapters, I felt like. Every new chapter, I was like, oh my god, this is still going on. Oh my god, this is still going on. Oh my god. And guess what? The next planet, which I'm going to let you talk about here in a moment.
I know you're going to let me talk about it.
The next planet also has an impossible quest that we cannot possibly win and no one has ever beaten. Mm-hmm. Can you feel the suspense? How we effortlessly beat that last one that we said was impossible? I'm sure this next one will really be impossible.
I don't know. It took a lot of effort to read. I assume it took a lot of effort to do.
So, yeah. I'm just going to say where the next shard is, and I'm just going to let you tear loose. The next shard is in the first age of Middle Earth. And take it away, Ben.
Okay. To know about this, I need to give you a little bit of background on the Silmarillion, okay? Tolkien, initially, when he did Lord of the Rings was supposed to be sort of like part 2 of a story. Part 1 was supposed to be what became the Silmarillion. The Silmarillion is a much more difficult to read, much drier, like straightforward tribute to the old Norse sagas and stuff that Tolkien liked.
Are you trying to tell me that he had like some sort of inspiration and that helped him create stuff?
Yeah.
Can you
It took him a lot
imagine
of
such
time.
an amazing thing?
It didn't get published in his lifetime because no publisher wanted it, because it basically reads like the Bible. It's a collection of like poems, books of histories, stuff like that. And together they sort of tell the stories of the first and second age, which leads into the third age where Lord of the Rings takes place. Ernest Cline has decided that the rest of the shards or whatever are on first age Middle Earth, and he has to fight Melkor, who is a Satan figure. So there is a story in the Silmarillion that was a pretty personal story for Tolkien. And it is the story of Beren and Luthien, also referenced in Lord of the Rings by Aragorn, because his own relationship with Arwen corresponds pretty closely to Beren and Luthien's story. It's one of the only romance, like explicitly romantic stories that Tolkien ever wrote. Long story short, it's about a human and an elf woman who want to marry, but her father doesn't approve, and indeed God doesn't approve, because humans and elves are very different things in Tolkien's mythology. They're both mortal, they both have souls, but their souls have different fates. Nobody knows what happens to the souls of humans, but the souls of elves are sort of reincarnated in a heaven on earth. And they stay with the earth till the end of time. They are very much of the earth. So the guy's given an impossible task. Together, he and the elf woman complete it. They overcome all obstacles. Their union is blessed ultimately by the father and the god and the whole world itself, and it's this beautiful thing. It was a really important story to Tolkien, and he called his wife his Luthien, and it is carved on their tombstones. He has Beren on his, and she has Luthien on hers.
Oh my god, are you trying to tell me that there was some sort of, like, symbolic meaning, and, like, this was a deeply personal thing he actually cared a lot about, and he didn't shit out over a 4-week span of time?
Tolkien is, in his lifetime, and his son, until very recently, he died recently, were very protective of the mythos.
Oh my god.
They would have
Can you
hated
imagine?
this. He 100%, if you had written Tolkien a letter asking him if you could use this for Ready Player 2, 100% would have said no. I've read all of Tolkien's letters that have been published. I've read the Silmarillion, Lord of the Rings, good chunk of the drafts.
Hey, John, is it okay if I put my crystal inside of Morgoth's crown and we're going to take it out? Don't worry, I know a shortcut. And
Well,
we'll,
and don't worry,
we'll pay you an exposure. People will really want to read your work after they hear about how I fucked your property 6 ways from Sunday. Is that cool with you?
I'm going to read a quote. I don't give a shit about Arda 3Z. What about this planet? How many quests have you completed here on Arda 1? H could always tell when I was lying to her, so I didn't even bother trying. 0, okay? I replied, not a single one. But there's a good reason for that, H. Don't make that face at me. All the quests here are trivia traps. You can't complete them unless you possess an encyclopedic knowledge of Tolkien's entire legendarium. And I'm not just talking about the published version of the Silmarillion. You need to memorize the details of a bunch of different, conflicting, unpublished early drafts. We're talking about the History of Middle-earth. You need to memorize all of these drafts and all 13 volumes of the History of Middle-earth. There it is. I had research priorities. And I was like, this was the
I'm
this
doing
was the point.
serious research, okay?
This was the point in the book where I was like, well, that's just infuriating. I hadn't gotten mad up until this point when he was like, and I know he did it to trigger me and people like me. Because I have read all the Tolkien stuff.
So he did it to trigger people like himself, but for, like, John Hughes instead of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. What triggers me isn't so much that he doesn't want to memorize the Silmarillion. And I talked to you about this. Ready Player One could have been a tribute if it made the case for why these things are important to the characters. Like, if I understood why John Hughes was important to Artemis, then it wouldn't matter that I didn't know anything about Pretty in Pink. But when she just teleports in and starts cutting off characters' heads, I have no frame of reference for what's going on. You tell me she loves John Hughes, and then when she meets John Hughes, she's like, oh my God, that's John Hughes. I don't know what that really means to her, though. Is that just meeting like somebody whose movie she liked? Is there some deeper personal thing? I don't know. For me, with the Tolkien stuff, like, it's not for everybody. The Silmarillion is a dense, dry read that most people will hate. And I don't blame them. I like it for different reasons, because it's the same reason I like all the Norse myth and stuff. It just clicks with me. And I could give you a whole thing, and maybe one day we'll talk about that. But the more important thing is not that he's dismissive of all the like weird little facts and tidbits about Middle Earth and the various ages of it. It's that this is not like Beren and Luthien does not exist for you to backdoor romance Artemis and Wade. It's like what they have to do is complete the most romantic quest Tolkien ever wrote together. You have to do it as a couple because Beren and Luthien could only succeed together. That's the whole point. She is able to use her magic to get through that, and then he is able to use, his bravery and cunning to get the stuff. There's even an element of like he's supposed to take one Silmaril, he takes two, he gets punished for that. It's a whole big thing, and it's just deeply offensive to me that we can talk about what kind of typewriter John Hughes has.
Yeah, because that's important stuff.
Yeah, but we can't talk about the fact that you're essentially stealing a story a man wrote more or less to his wife that they literally took to their graves. And you're using that in Ready Player 2.
Maybe he should have written a funner story to his wife so that I could plagiarize it better.
Here's where I thought he was going with this. I thought the final shard...
Whatever it is you thought, you were wrong.
I thought the final shard was going to be this quest because Ogden and Kira live in an estate that's made to look like Rivendell, and they're both huge Lord of the Rings nerds. And
no, they're not.
And she's buried in Rivendell. And I thought they might have seen themselves in Beren and Luthien. And
we both know Ernest does not understand the properties he is ripping off and referencing.
Yeah, and that maybe it's because just I was very familiar with this one, and like I'll admit, like I got a soft spot for that stuff. Like I Tolkien's not like a super sensitive guy in his writings. He's kind of an awkward, fastidious, weird professor. And this is like one of the only ways he communicated anything like this emotional, this openly. And I don't know, I just thought it was in extraordinarily poor taste that not only did you use it, again, without knowledge or consent, but that you used it for Wade and Artemis. I could have... He's made the case for Og and Kira. I'm willing to say that like Og and Kira, they have been described as a romance for the ages. They constantly think about each other. They're always trying to get back to each other, and their romance should be the core of the book. It's not. The core of the book is like, hey, look, there's Robert Downey Jr. and possibly young Robert Downey Jr.
Impossibly young. Dude, did you know that guy used to be older than that because this is the past? Holy shit, am I right?
But it's like, if you go to J.R.R. Tolkien's like Wikipedia page, I mean, this is like, he's talking about, this is a man who's supposed to be an expert on everything like D&D and all that crap. I typed in...
Are we talking about Cline or Wade?
Wade.
Okay.
Like, Wade's supposed to... He
had research priorities, Ben.
Look, I'm on Tolkien's Wikipedia page. I'm looking at a tombstone that is on an image in the Wikipedia page. Edith Mary Tolkien, Luthien, 1889 to 1971. John Ronald Reuel Tolkien, Baron. They literally put that on their tombstone. It's literally on the Wikipedia page. You do not have to go very deep. If you were a guy... You
needed to finish this in 4 weeks, Ben.
If you were a guy who was supposed to be an expert on RPGs and D&D...
Look, Ben, because he put this in his book, you are going to go out and you are going to discover that based on the fact that it was in his book, and you'll have a deeper understanding than Cline did. He's paying Tolkien an exposure that's also incorrect exposure.
You have no idea how much Tolkien would hate this. Like, no, if you could read the... Like, there's a book of Tolkien's letters. I know you're not going to read it. I know you don't care. But there is a book of his letters. And if you could see him arguing with the publishers and the translators about the tiniest shit, there is no way in hell he would have ever approved this.
That's because he had research priorities. He couldn't be bothered to read that book, Ben, on all the letters. Oh, God, is it too hard?
We were reading Anorak's Almanac for the 170th time.
Yeah, I needed to know what Anorak thought about jerking off. He said it was
Oh
great.
my
and
god,
needs
I
to
forgot
happen.
that. Yeah, I
know
forgot
you
we
did.
talked about that. Yeah.
I know you did. This is so dense. Every book is just full of so many wrong things.
You're not wrong. This is the Phantom Menace of novels. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Also, something I want to say, this is nerd shit. Middle Earth is not Arda. Middle Earth is in Arda.
Oh my god. I don't know if he knew that or not, but
He definitely didn't know that. He directly says Middle Earth and Arda are the same thing. They're not.
Oh.
That's not even...
Well, Ben, he doesn't know anything
not even fact
about
check.
the stuff
I
he's
mean,
talking about.
I guess the thing is that Wade is not supposed to know this, so maybe Ernest Cline could turn around and be like, I knew that, but Wade didn't know that. See, that's writing, Ben. See, that's like a novel. I was in character. And then I could just, like, burst my skull as the blood just, like, explodes out of my veins. Yeah, so they do Baron and Luthien. Go read it.
Yeah. Tell you how that plays out in a very short period of time. They luckily Wade has Shadowfax. They get there, H dies, he grabs all the H's stuff. Also, players who die are no longer respawning. We don't know where they're going, so just pretend like that's important and that is raising the stakes. No, Ben, we're finishing this off. No. So Artemis comes down, defeats the dog that killed H. They go inside the mountain or whatever, the stronghold. I don't even remember. And then they're like, "Oh my God, there's 100 levels of labyrinth down here. It's a whole house of leaves. It just changes and shifts." And luckily, I know a shortcut. And they
there's
bam,
Morgoth.
we're here. They're there. They're in the throne room. She sings a song, puts everyone to sleep. Wade gets the crystal, and then they leave. And I shit you not, that's about how quick it is. They build up Morgoth as someone like, oh my god, this is impossible. He's just gonna one-hit us and kill us forever. And, nope, I know a shortcut. He's asleep. Done. That's it. It was like 2 pages of them beating a supposedly unbeatable quest. I don't know why no one else thought to just use a shortcut and
I got a
people
couple
asleep.
of things. One thing I wanted to mention, I just saw one of my quotes. The Silmarillion isn't a novel, H. It's more like a campaign setting source book for the Middle-earth role-playing game. And my comment that I wrote is, excuse me? I may choose violence today.
You did tell me that I wanted to fight Cecil H.H. Mills. You wanted
I'll
to
box
fight
Ernest Cline.
Ernest Cline.
Yeah. I'll box Ernest Cline, and I'll put some Quenya phrases on my gloves for him so that he has something to read while I'm kicking his ass. But
Stop! He's already dead.
it's full of stories and poems about the creation of Middle-earth, its deities, histories, and mythology, alphabets and pronunciation keys for made-up elven languages. I just never had time to finish it. Wade, your whole life is nothing but fucking time. You are a waste of breath and space. Read the Silmarillion, you piece of shit. It's the least you could do.
He only has 12 hours a day in the Oasis with the Oni, Ben.
That means you got 12 to read a book.
But if he doesn't get a good night's sleep, he can't. Oh, I hate this fucking book. I hate this book.
Everything.
I hate it so much.
I have another quote I highlighted. I'm just going to go through some of my highlights for this one because I'm
Okay,
entitled.
but first, let me tell you that Artemis gives Wade a kiss on the cheek.
Yeah, I'm getting
for
to
some
that.
reason. Okay,
My entire
cool.
real-world relationship with Samantha lasted for only 1 week, H. That week we spent together at Morrow's replica of Rivendell. She loved being there. She loved geeking out about Middle-earth. I think Samantha loves Tolkien just as much as Kira did. Maybe even more. Samantha found out I'd never finished reading the Silmarillion that week, and she gave me an enormous amount of shit for it. I was planning to give it another go, but then we broke up, and I've avoided Tolkien ever since.
Yeah, I was too busy telling her about her dead fucking grandmother. Anorak is a crazy person who longs to be with a woman who hates him because he did stuff without her consent. And Wade just looks at him with pity, and he doesn't get it, how close he and Anorak are to
Why do
being
you
the same
think
person.
Kira was so nuts about Middle Earth? H asked me. Pure uncut escapism, I said. To which I said, I may actually murder someone.
Oh, God.
Tolkien is pure uncut escapism.
No, he's not.
That's
Shit.
What you
shit.
took from this? That's
You
what you
remember
took from this?
that-
You have 2 DeLoreans in your garage, you stupid fucking asshole. I hate this motherfucker so much.
I'm tired, Ben. I'm just exhausted with having to think or talk about Ernest fucking Cline.
I don't know. I've never encountered a person like this thick. It just, nothing gets through. Just wrong about his interpretation of everything. But talking about Ready Player 2 for a moment, just trying to return to some pretext of a podcast. The ONI not respawning them when they die. The first thought somebody has is the first thought the reader has. Oh, well, if they're not playing, are they safe from overload syndrome? To which the texts say no. They're lying. People are totally safe from synaptic overload syndrome if they're not playing.
I don't know.
They are, though. They are. Anorak says that.
Yeah, he says that at the end. The thing is, this was trying to up the stakes. Oh my god, if you die in the game, you might die in real life. But then, he can't even do that right because he questions it as like, oh, if you die in the game and you disappear forever, like,
Like
maybe
quite
they're
literally,
safe.
the least
Maybe
you
they
could
just
do
go to
is kill
purgatory.
Shoto. Just kill Shoto. Just end this.
But
just
he has
end
a
this.
kid, Ben. He has a kid.
Adopt him, name him Wade Jr., and just...
He's called Little Dido. Are you fucking kidding me?
What?
Yeah!
Is that real?
That's not his official name, but Shoto calls him Little Dido. I'm not making that up. That was real. You may have missed it in between all the John Hughes references, but...
This is the Fold.
No, that's an insult to the Fold and to Peter Cline's.
Yeah, no, the Fold's better. Go
By
listen
far.
to our episodes on the Fold.
Do we need to okay, we need to catch our fucking second win because we're right at the end. So here's how we're going to end out this episode, but we're going to keep recording, okay? Because I'm just going to cut this into 2 parts. So Wade has all the shards except for one. He goes to the place where Kira had the shards in the D&D campaign that the shards are based on. He puts them all in the dais. He gets the final shard. The glowing thing that allows him to know that Anorak is nearby that I didn't mention because it only comes up this one time starts glowing, and there's Anorak. And he goes, "Thanks, Wade. Give me all the shards and I promise I'll release everyone. You can trust me, I guess." And Wade's like, "Okay, fine. I have no choice. Here are the shards." And Anorak takes the shards. And Wade takes back the robes of Anorak because it turns out this entire time, without telling the reader and off screen, they were making 7 dummy shards so that he could give them to Anorak. And when Anorak took all the dummy shards, he could get the robes of Anorak back, which give him his god mode powers, and he teleports inside the castle Anorak. The Anorak cannot follow him into, and the
I'm
end.
stopping
That's
you.
the end of that
I'm
part.
sorry, I'm stopping you. I need you to know that I'm so glad to hear you say that. Because I thought I had just missed him telling someone to make that, and I was not going to go back to check. But I'm so glad to hear you say that, because you guys need to know, don't read this book, but you need to know that if you had, we are with Wade every minute from the time he hears that he is trapped in the Oasis and that Anorak is a real boy or whatever, to now. There is no cutaway. There is no time spent with another character. There is no time where Wade is off screen. We are with him the entire 12 hours he's logged into the Oasis. Never does he tell anyone to make a fake set of shards. It literally can't happen. It's in this book where everything is so nonsensical that it's almost ludicrous to try to find a plot hole. He just made sure to throw one in your face. All he had to do to lend more credence to the fact that this is just a first draft thrown out as quick as possible, all you had to do to fix this was be like, oh, hey, you got to put a line in earlier about, hey, can we make some fake shards? All you got to do
all
is...
he had to do.
Yeah, that's all you got to do. All you got to do is go back to one of the times where he's talking to Faisal about their admins and checking on people. And there are numerous times where they stop the quest. They're on the clock. They have hours left to get 3 shards when the first one took 10 hours or something. And they called their wives. H and
H and Shoto talked to their wives for hours.
Yeah. And it's like, I understand they're concerned about you, but like, if you were calling me, like if I was outside and, you know, my wife was calling me to tell me like, hey, I'm okay, I'd be like, go get the fucking shards. What are you doing?
Glad to hear you're okay. We need to make this short. Go.
Yeah.
Love you. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. The shards come out of nowhere. And I thought, so here's the thing. They are conjecturing, okay, he's going to get the shards of Kira and he's just going to disappear somewhere. He's going to go to some server somewhere. Oh, wait. Oh my god, we have a server up on that spaceship. He might just upload himself up there and blast off. Oh my god. So I thought, well, I know he's not going to do this because it would take like 2 seconds and be a little clever. Wade will let Anorak upload himself up there and then trap him there.
And then blow up the ship.
Yes.
Symbolizing that he knows it was a stupid boondoggle.
Done. But no, actually, that is not what they do. He gives him fake shards that he didn't establish was a thing that he could do or was doing.
You know, I just noticed, you know, he signs every letter with MTFBWYA. And I was sitting here, like, the whole time I was reading this book, I was like, the fuck does that mean? And I just figured it out. It's May the Force be with you always. Anyway, yeah, go on about... So the book is obviously building up to, like... Or it seems like it's obviously building up to... Wade is going to blow up his ship, and Wade is going to have to push the red button. And/or Wade is going to have to push the red button. I think he should have blown up the ship, because that would symbolize he's not giving up on Earth. He's here for the long haul.
Yes, it would symbolize that he made a sacrifice and he made a change in his character.
That would be the right ending. But Ernest Cline doesn't believe that's the right ending.
Because Ernest Cline has stupid values. If they ever make a movie of this, I bet that's the ending.
That he blows up the ship?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's going to be the ending. And it changes the whole meaning of the story. If that was your book and somebody just changed the ending because they were like, you're a dumb idiot with fucked up morals, you would be mad. But Ernest Cline would be like, thank you, sir, may I have another?
Yeah.
And by another, I mean screenplay.
Because you read a quote where he said something like, people don't like my books, but I'm glad that they can discuss them and hate them or whatever, because it gives them a little bit of escapism from the existential reality of living. And it's like...
Oh, believe me, my real life is so much better than reading this book.
Yeah, I did not ask for this, sir. I do not want to escape to your garbage book.
No.
And like you said, your life and my life, they're both better than Ernest Cline's fantasy life.
No, I'm tanking my podcast specifically to rant about this book. This is a terrible decision. This is one of the worst things that I ever did. Let me just look real quick. Has anyone downloaded this podcast while we've been recording?
Probably not. They probably saw, Ready Player 2?
Oh,
Nah,
one.
we got one.
We're at 14.
We got one. Yeah, our numbers have.
This is the worst
fallen
Sunday
off a
we've
cliff.
had. This is the worst Sunday we've had in months.
Like a year. Yeah. Oh my god.
If you're listening, you're in the words about books. You're in our high five. That's about how many of you are still here. We said this with Thrawn too. God, July is just not.
Thrawn actually had downloads, sir.
Thrawn did have downloads. People like Thrawn.
Thrawn was actually very well received, at least in terms of numbers. And I enjoyed Thrawn. Thrawn was fun.
Thrawn was better. Thrawn was a lot better to read than this.
What are your closing thoughts for this part? And then we're just going to keep talking and go into
Is this
part
the end
3,
of a part?
This is the end of part 2. This is supposedly... You know how normally if you have a 3-act structure, the end of Act 2 is the lowest point? He even gets it right in the first book. At the end of Act 2, it looks like IOI has won. Wade is contemplating for a very long and uncomfortable amount of time killing himself. And he's like, all my friends have abandoned me and life isn't worth living anymore. The end of this is... I got ya, Anorak. I got my God Mode powers, and I have basically defeated the villain. And that's the end of part 2 of this book. And you're like, okay, where does it go from here? And you see that there's only 5 chapters left.
Yeah, like I remember you saying, like I remember being like, oh, I don't know if we can do part 2 and part 3 in one episode because that's like a lot of material, right? And then I read the book last night, and I was like, where the hell was part 3? I didn't even notice it. I didn't even notice the break. That's my final thought. Let's go on to part 3.
Here are your winners. By knockout, Ben and Nate. The Words About Books podcast.